Hello, welcome to today's training. Training, is it? Today I'm going to talk to you about speech and communication and how you can give your child, whether they're a little child or an adult, practical tools to help them. If you are kind of floundering right now with speech therapy, if you're kind of floundering with helping them communicate, it's very difficult to always know exactly what they need in this area. And so I'm going to give you some ideas of different ways you can try and help them depending on their age, their experience, what they've had problems with in the past. And then I'm going to give you some resources where you can find those and wrap it up at the end. Okay, so communication is really important. So I'm just going to share my story as my daughter, who has profound autism, is 19. And throughout the years, we've had a lot of difficulty with different people, sometimes with the school, with different teachers who believe that she is intellectually disabled. Now, I will tell you that I have a second daughter with Down syndrome, an older daughter with Down syndrome, who is intellectually disabled and able to take the testing and able to see that she does have some cognitive disability. My autistic daughter is not able to take that testing. It was just presumed. So it was presumed that she's intellectually disabled because she is not able to communicate like the rest of us, like a neurotypical person, right? Which is not to say she's completely nonverbal. And a lot of times our kids who have profound autism are, they're either completely nonverbal or they have verbal incapabilities. My daughters have verbalized completely differently with my daughter with Down syndrome. It's an intellectual issue plus an issue with her mouth, and there's a whole different way she responded to things like speech therapy and speech tools than my autistic daughter did. And I believe it's because my autistic daughter has is more intellectually capable. Okay, so when you're in the school system, a lot of times, hi Kara, a lot of times they don't want to admit that your child has capability. All they do is look at the tests, and she cannot communicate, and she cannot speak like we speak, or your child can't speak at all, completely nonverbal, and so it's presumed that they are not intellectual. So, and I hate this. I believe my daughter is intelligent. I don't know if she's age-appropriate intelligence, but I don't think she's far behind by many years at all. I don't think she is anything other than a teenager in her brain, maybe an older teen, maybe a mid-level teen, maybe an adult already. But I don't think she's, just because she cannot verbalize the way you and I do, that she is that she doesn't have intellectual abilities. And that is the same is true for kids of all levels and adults with autism of all levels of an ability in terms of verbalization. Verbalization is not communication. These are two different issues. There are two different processes. But speech ability encompasses communication, and communication doesn't necessarily require speech ability. So, how do we help our kids share their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and dreams, right? When we have this problem. So, a lot of people are going to use traditional speech therapy, or also what's known as AAC, which is when you would use a device. You give your child a device to help them speak, to help them share their thoughts, right? And so a device, so the problem with the device is the device normally is only going to have a few phrases. And of course, your school, when you're working with your school, they're only going to be able to provide a few phrases, like I have to go to the bathroom, I feel sick, I'm hot, I need water, yes, no, I will, I won't, right? Basic stuff like that. So the problem is, how do we get our kids to go beyond here's what I need and here's what I want into actually communicating who they are and how they feel and what their dreams and desires and hopes are, right? Because what we need to do, I think one of the main important things that all of us parents need to do with our kids, and I have failed on this many times, is to presume competence. So what does that mean? That means you need to presume that they understand what you are saying, what everyone around them is saying, what they are watching, what they are looking at, and not presume that they don't get it, that they're intellectually disabled and they don't know what we're saying and they don't know what they're hearing. Just because a person is nonverbal does not mean that they are not competent enough to gather what's going on around them, and they will prove it to you if you let them. My daughter has used tools like scripting and echolalia. Echolalia is when you parrot back phrases. She often uses phrases out of movies that she watched. We've had conversation. I remember like a year ago, my husband and I were having a conversation and Zoe was in the room, and Zoe parroted a line from a movie she had not ever parroted from before, and it exactly addressed we were talking about economics or finances or something very high level, and she parroted back exactly her opinion on what we were talking about. So if you give your kids the tools, they can make the communicative needs, they can meet their communicative needs. So what are your options outside of traditional speech therapy and PECs or AAC devices? So let me just back up a little bit and talk about speech therapy, something that I learned when my kids were in about 3rd and 5th grade, or 2nd and 4th grade, I believe. We had an inclusion expert. Yes, these people exist. They are inclusion experts. If you want to work with an inclusion expert to get your child better included in school, you need to be like a year or more out. Well, in Pennsylvania anyway, you have to be on that waiting list for a year because it takes them a year to prepare, a year to pick which schools they're going to work with and all that sort of thing. But anyway, we were very fortunate enough to have include me from the start. For 2 years, they came in and worked with our charter school. And one of the things that they taught me, believe it or not, was that when you are looking at your IEP, if you have an IEP for your child, which you probably do if they're in school system and if they're profoundly autistic, and look at when they have speech therapy, the speech therapist needs to take the data, turn it into numbers, and make it into a very simple bar graph so that you can see if your child's speech skills are going like that, if they're going like that, or if they're going like that. Because if they're going like this and they're going like this, you need to change a plan of what you're doing for their speech benefit. So that's number one. Now, I spoke to my friend Julie, who's in this group, who is a 30-year speech therapist, and she last night told me about Gestalt speech therapy, which is, I did a little research on it, not a whole lot. Hopefully we'll get Julie to come up and do a presentation one of these days on it. But Gestalt is, so normally they teach your kids words and phrases. Gestalt is there's a process that tries to give your kids bigger chunks of information to excel their speech. And so it's supposed to be very effective. And again, it's a different approach. So if your speech therapist is using traditional methods and they're not working, ask them about Gestalt, ask them about other types of speech options. I was reading the book Outsmarting Autism yesterday, and they had a whole group on communication and relationships. They don't have a speech therapy section in the book, but they have relationships and communication section, and there's all kinds of tools in there that you could use that I was unfamiliar with. So that's one other thing you can do. And now the other problem with the AAC, my daughter, we wanted to use this particular system, and the school said absolutely not. We will never work with that system. because we don't believe in it, that's a whole other story. But we can offer you AAC again. This was last year, year before last. And when she was still attending school and my daughter was having no part of it, she did not want, she uses an iPad all the time, but she did not want to use that AA school system, the PEC system, like it was beneath her. So your child, as they grow, they're going to get like, we don't want to use these things. Like, I believe she is very intelligent and she understands things and she does not want to use these things. So what are some other tools and things you can do for your child that may help, that are different? So like I said, presume competence. So what that means is talk to your child age appropriately. If your child's 10, talk to them like a 10-year-old. If they're 15, talk to them like a 15-year-old. Out of love and a desire to be close to our kids, a lot of times we parents fail on this. We'll baby talk our kids. You know what? Get a dog and baby talk your dog. That's what we do. We baby talk the crap out of our dog because we're trying not to baby talk our kids anymore. Right? So address them like they are, whatever age they are. Another tool that's really start thinking about when we're having a conversation, me and my husband, she is listening, she understands it. So, it's good really to have good conversations about your values and things like that because they're sucking that in. So have those conversations in front of them as if they are understanding, talk about your faith, talk about your beliefs, talk about your values, talk high level stuff, talk politics, talk economics, talk finance. They may be sucking it in and you won't know that until you give them the tools to express themselves. There's another tool I want to introduce you to. None of these tools definitely are guaranteed to work. It's a lot of trial and error. It really is a lot of trial and error, and that's okay. Our kids rely on us to try things that can help them thrive. That's kind of the whole point of this group. So here is the tool that I wanted to introduce today. There's a couple of more other things I'm going to talk about today, but it's called Spell to Communicate. Spell to Communicate is really designed, hi Julie, hi David, is really designed for people with apraxia. So people with speech apraxia. People with speech apraxia is Apraxia is a neurological motor condition that happens when the body is not able to execute and adapt to plans made by the brain. And speech apraxia is when you have the thought, but you cannot make your mouth say it or your fingers type it. You just can't get the thought out. And so Spell to Communicate is a process that it attempts to connect the motor function with the speech function, because somebody told me these are two different areas of the brain that form the thoughts and that form the speech. And you have to get them to connect. And so spell to communicate, not speech. Spell to communicate is one way to do that. So it may or may not be appropriate for you. My friend, the speech therapist, said it tends not to work well for people who if apraxia is their primary diagnosis, it could work well. If it's not their primary, she says her experience is that it has not worked well. On the other hand, I have friends who have used it. I have a friend who has a daughter with Down syndrome, autism, and intellectual disability who has actually gained from it. So it's a trial and error thing. The downside of Spell to Communicate is you can't just use anybody. You have to find a practitioner, and they are very costly and they're difficult to find. I've already looked here. There's no one down here by where I live now. The one person there was up in Pennsylvania, was $150 an hour per child, so that wasn't happening. And I'm not in a backwater either. There is a MAPS doctor Shout out if you know what a MAPS doctor is. A MAPS doctor for autism, a 15-minute drive away from me, and I'm completely shocked. So it's not a backwater, but if you want to find a practitioner, I'm going to put the website below. There is also Communication for All. That is a great site where you can learn a lot about the process and take on the process yourself. It is run by, I believe her name is Elizabeth Banks. I can't find her name right now, but and she's a nonverbal who graduated valedictorian of her high school because she uses this communication process. If you'd like to learn more about it, I would recommend the movie Spellers or the book. No, sorry. The book is called Spellers. The movie is, no, the movie's called Spellers. The book is called something else. Unlimited? I can't remember the name of the book. I'm blanking. I will put all those links in below. But now, again, that might not work for you, but it might. Gestalt therapy might not work for you, but it might. Is it Gestalt or Gestalt? Somebody needs to correct me on that. Now, I will caution you, your school is going to say horrible things about spell to communicate. So don't even bring it up. Even with the lawsuit, we couldn't get it. If you read the book, they'll tell you why. There's actually politics. And the Speech Organization of America refuses to acknowledge and they say it's fraudulent and false. But if you look up Vince Rinsella, if you go to communicationforall.org, if you look up Vince Rinsella or you go to communicationforall.org, you can see people who have successfully been able to live a full and rewarding life because of these tools. Okay, but I need to tell you that those people are 100% nonverbal. They have true apraxia. So if your child is partially verbal, I have some other tools for you. So as you know, our daughter is partially verbal, and what we've had a lot of help, what we actually got her a couple of years ago was an Alexa. My daughter is very much drawn to music. Music is a wonderful way to bring out speech in your child. If your child loves music, go for it. Have them play a lot of music. And then Alexa actually helped her articulate, because she used to ask me to ask her to find songs. And I would say, no, just you find the song. Because she would go, it's a terrible song. She loves that song, Truck Bed. She would go something like, Mom, truck bed? And I would be like, you know how to say it. Now go, Alexa, play Truck Bed. And she actually kind of trained the Alexa so that she didn't even have to say the word play. She trained the Alexa so that she could pull up some words from the lyrics if she didn't know the title of the song. And Alexa would work for her. So she used an Alexa very, very well. She's now really using her iPad very well. We can't find the Alexa, honestly, she's probably got it in her bedroom somewhere, and I can't find it. But now she's using an iPad. We just got an iPad for her in January, and she's using it. I never taught her this. She just goes online. So pull up Walmart and tell me, okay, because down here our grocery stores are Walmart and Publix. Or she'll pull up Walmart or she'll pull up Publix and go, this is what I want to eat. Yesterday, she pulled up, she searched the town we live in to find a restaurant that would have both chocolate chip pancakes and hot chocolate. She ended up finding a local restaurant, Eastern Shore Cafe, which is the one I figured we've been there one time, and they do have all that stuff. And they serve both that stuff. And then has been asking us to go there. So hopefully we'll be able to take her tomorrow. So she can really very intensely write her needs, but she's not usually very good at communicating more abstract concepts. She can vehemently be against something or for something, but other than that, she can't yet verbalize. But this particular hooking us up of doing all that to express, doing the research, she can do research. Doing the research to find the place that got what she wanted and bringing it to me is a huge win. And I think some of the wins we're having now are because of we're trying a new protocol. So then that was my last tool that I wanted to share with you is supplements can help your kid. You can do biomed, homeopathy, or herbal. There is research and data that fish oil supplements do help with speech. So there is peer-reviewed data. I looked it up. And if you're going to use fish oil is very difficult because a lot of it is contaminated. It has either too much mercury or lots of vitamins are contaminated. And you saw the other day that I posted that even though it's more affordable, you can't really buy it from a store like Vitacost or online from Amazon because a lot of times their distributors taint. So you want to go to the supply. The only brand I'm recommending of this is Nordic Naturals fish oil. Check them out. They are the safest as per Mamavation, which is a website I rely on heavily and have worked at, and am good friends with the owner, she takes no money for profit. She does independent third-party testing of all kinds of brands. So fish oil, if you're going to do it, use a brand like that. Nordic Naturals is one of the safest. They have a lot of different options too. They have little fishy gummies. So there are ways to take it. If you have a brand that you know is tested safe, you may share that. I don't know exactly what other brands are safe. She hasn't done a whole lot of testing on fish oil. The other thing with fish oil is it's one of the few supplements that will go rancid on your shelf. So if you do buy fish oil, please be sure to throw it out by the expiration date. That's not true of I'm not going to say keep things beyond the expiration date, but they may still work if you get past the expiration date. They won't go bad. Depends what's in them, of course, but fish oil will definitely rot. Okay. So, let's see what else I have. So a little bit more about Spell to Communicate. Spell to Communicate, if you're going to use that tool, it starts with 3 letter boards. And yeah, your child needs to go back to the letter boards because you're training the brain to connect the motor skills and the speech skills. And again, your school's not going to do it. That's something you can try on your own if you go to communicationforall.org, the number 4, communication number 4 for all.org. You can watch the videos and see what helps you and what doesn't help you. Read the book Spellers first or watch the movie first. It's very inspirational. It's going to make you want to jump in and do it. But it might not be the best choice for you, but you can definitely try it. I would say try it on your own. A few dollars for letter boards is no big deal compared to hiring someone at $150 an hour. Okay. And also with fish oil and supplements, you might want to work. You might want to work with a functional doctor. A MAPS doctor, MAPS, is especially one that focuses on autism is a good way. Biomed's a little bit tough though, so we don't do biomed because it's very costly. And now that you can't buy I can't trust to buy the supplements at an affordable outlet like Amazon, which makes me wonder if we've done protocols and bought things off of Amazon. Maybe they didn't work because they were tainted, or they were fake. They were fake pills. So if you want to try something else, right now we are using an herbal remedy spray with Zoe. We give her 3 sprays a day. It takes 4 months. It's really a blood detox and also a cellular detox. It's called iHercules. iHercules, buy new extracts. Let's put it this way. My husband is a skeptic on everything. And while her gains are slow because she has so much toxicity in her right now, because we just haven't done anything, and there's been a lot of stress. Stress is a real big toxin. My husband, who is a huge skeptic on anything, okayed for us to get a second round of these. So we've been on it about 3 months now. 3 months? I'm trying to figure out how long we've been here. Maybe 2.5 months, 2 3/4 month. And we are seeing gains like what she did with the iPad yesterday. So if you're curious about that, just send me a DM and we can chat offline about that. But these are some of the more helpful interventions when you see speech therapy, standard traditional speech therapy is not working. So remember, number one, if you're in IEPs, get your speech therapy provider to start graphing results. If things are plateauing or cratering, you need to switch methods. You can try alternative types of therapy like Gestalt therapy, which is a type of speech therapy. If your child no longer wants to work with PECs or AACs, that's not totally abnormal. If your child, that's okay. You got to give them other tools. If they know how to write, encourage their writing. If they are minimally verbal, you can use tools like Alexa to teach them and encourage them to use their speech to get what they want through a device, right? That's not you. That's not them asking you. That's them independently going on. And that requires that you presume competence and that you pass that on to the teachers and the staff and the therapists and all the people working with her. Presume that your child is competent. If they don't presume your child is, and I suspect that's why Zoe stopped going to school for a year, because they presume, they treat her like a first grader, and that's very annoying if you're 19. And you're more like a 19-year-old than a first grader. That would be very annoying. Fish oil supplements, buy clean supplements, but I recommend you would work with a functional MAPS doctor, or just check out iHercules. It's a very safe product. I can give you information on that. And check out communicationforall.org if you want to learn about Spell to Communicate. Check out the book Spellers, the movie Spellers, if you want to learn about some of the success stories or read the book it was based on. Check out the movie Spellers or read the book it was based on if you want to learn more about Spell to Communicate. And hope those are just, and like I said, if you have the book Outsmarting Autism, there's there's a large section that talks about all these other interventions that you would then have to go look up. And maybe I'll do that research for you and do a part 2 to this, because there's so many, when you presume competence, there's so many doors that suddenly you want to open for your child that are amazing. And that's why the other day I said, watch the movie Accountant 2, because to watch a non-speller, she was basically, that's what she was. She was a non-verbal, one of the main characters, running a whole system. She was nonverbal. She looked profoundly autistic, maybe level 2, maybe level 3, but she totally knew what she was doing, and she was running that operation. Again, questionable because it was an illegal operation and all that kind of, we could talk about ethics till the cows come home, but probably if you give your child the tools, they probably won't be running an unethical investigatory center, but they might be able to do computer modeling, computer engineering, computer science, editing. There's all kinds of jobs that people can do. AI engineering, all kinds of jobs that kids can do now that don't require sitting in an office and being social, but being dedicated and focused online. But you have to unlock their competency. and give them a way to communicate. Okay. And all our kids, I firmly believe that all our kids can communicate in a way that brings them to where they are. You have to be in there for the long haul. We are in a multi-year journey with Zoe. We haven't given up on her. There's a long journey ahead of us. And that's okay. It's totally okay. So tell me what your thoughts are on this. I hope all that feels okay. How does all that feel? What do you think about those options? Does that feel like you have more options now? I would love to hear your opinions. And like I said, I'll drop links in this video a little later on today. And I hope all is well. And I hope you have some real good takeaways from this training. So talk to you soon. Have a great day. Thank you for listening. Bye. Thank you for listening. Bye.